Okay, as you can see, I have made some changes on the header part of the web page, and I want to go over them with you now. First, starting with the title of the website, Lotus Flower Bakery on the top, I found out that if I change the font family to Arial Narrow, it would give me the best result. And then I just separated the first word in a span, which I will show you, and change the font weight and the color only for the first word. That will give the whole thing a beautiful effect. So let's first review that part. For that, as you can see here, this is our H1 right here. Let me close this part so you can see the whole H1 in one line over here. And as you can see, I just put a span tag before and after, opened and closed the span tag before and after the word Lotus. And within the opening span tag, I added the style to change the color to goldenrod, font weight to 900, and that gives the special effect visually on the word Lotus, which is going to be different than the rest of it, as you can see there just in the normal H1 tag. And if I go here to the H1, you will see that the H1 font family, I have added the Arial Narrow as the primary font family because it looked a little bit better in terms of being more similar to the logo style that we had earlier. So that's one small change I made. I just wanted to go over that with you as well. The second thing I wanted to show you is the navigation menu items here. So if you remember, they were looking like buttons, like the button we created down here, but they had the yellow background. I decided to remove the background as a default design, and then to add it as a hover effect. So take a look here. As you hover on the buttons or the menu items on the top, then the golden background appears, and that way I think it's a more beautiful effect for the navigation on the top. So it's very similar to maybe some other types of navigation you have seen before. Now, before I go ahead and show you the design here, just wanted to mention something whenever you're dealing with a list of items like navigation. Now here we just went ahead and added 3 A tags, anchor tags or links inside a nav group. Usually when you have more items in a list, you would go with a UL unordered list or OL ordered list, and then within that, list elements that come in the LI tags. Now in this particular case, I didn't go with that because this is a very short list of 3 links basically, but remember that if you see that somewhere, that's usually how it is done. But in this particular project, we just took it easy and we didn't go with the more, let's say, the longer version of designing the list elements. And then you have to get rid of the bullet points or numbers. There is a little bit more design involved in that. The lists are also very useful on your web page if you are actually listing some elements, some points that you want to discuss within the text that you have here. Very, very useful HTML elements. But in this case, I haven't changed the HTML. The only thing I have changed is the CSS for the design of these 3. So let's go ahead and review those. So if you remember, these are the 3 links. We gave them a class, named the class nav. And as you know, at the moment, there is no href because they're not linking to any other pages since this is the only page we have. So the class nav is responsible for the design. And if I find it over here, you will see that I reduced the design on the nav itself. So I only have the color, the text decoration, none, because if you remember, but the links were underlined, and just some padding for them. Now, instead, I added a .nav:hover, that's the hover effect for the background color, which gives the background color of a goldenrod, which makes them look like a button. And also, this is something I mentioned earlier, if you remember. I added a transition to give it some sort of an animation effect so that the background doesn't appear suddenly. It takes 0.5 seconds for the background to appear. So again, to draw your attention, let me go over here and show it to you. See, as soon as I hover on the element, the background doesn't appear, it doesn't jump, it's it takes half a second to appear. So let's see if you can spot that on the screen. You see, it's a smooth transition from black to the gold. So that's what the transition does, which we discussed a little bit earlier, but this is the first time you're seeing it on this project. So transition linear 0.5 seconds is what I put for the design over here for that. So these are some small changes I made for the header section. And now what we want to do next, very important, is to make sure that this website is responsive, meaning that it is mobile friendly. So it's not only designed for wide desktops. And if you open them on a mobile device, on a phone, they are going to, so the elements are going to rearrange themselves in a way that you can see everything in a beautiful way. So we have to make some changes to make sure that everything is visible, everything is aligned beautifully and designed well for a mobile phone as well. That's what we want to do next.